On this tape, you will discover the extraordinary power of your thoughts to create a life of bliss or a life of drudgery. Your doubts about the power of negative thinking as a destructive force in your life will vanish as you listen to George bring together very powerful insights on this subject. You will become vividly aware of the connection between your past thought patterns and your present life conditions. You will learn that enlightened thinking in the present and future can indeed lead on to a life of exceedingly more happiness and success. And now, The Awesome Power of Your Mind by George Zalicki.
Thank you. You're wonderful. You compel me to work. Because when we start talking about the human mind, I mean, it's very complex property that we have that sits on our shoulders that very few of us ever think much about how it operates. And yet it can serve us well or essentially destroy us. Because every single thought that you and I have is a road to somewhere. And when you recognize that thoughts create reality, that as you think, you will become. The dominant thoughts of your mind will become your self-fulfilling prophecy. The mind is amazing, absolutely amazing. So few people are aware of the power of the mind. So few people take control of their thinking. And yet it is our thinking that makes what's so in our world. Collectively, individually, our thoughts create the conditions that we then say we want to correct. And we use new thought to create the conditions that we brought into existence. That's why Disraeli said, men go through life trying to change the circumstances of their lives, blind to the fact that the circumstances that they seek to change were the creations of their own minds. The power of the mind. You and I have a vested interest, it appears to me, to be confused by all of this. We have an incredible capacity to kid ourselves, to use this mind to justify foolishness, to use this mind to make right things that aren't right, to use this mind to make wrong things that are not wrong. And yet, it's a power, an awesome power, so powerful that nothing that is did not begin as a thought. This jacket, your clothes, your rings, the seats you sit in, this building began as a thought. Therefore, nothing that is could be without someone first thinking it into reality. When then does something come into existence? When you see it in its material form, or when it was thought. For if it were not thought, it cannot be. And so it is with your life and my life. We think ourselves into the circumstances of our lives and live as though it were not true. External forces have me where I am. Maybe that's why Sophocles said in 340 BC, what a day of awakening it is when a human being recognizes that the circumstances they're in are uniquely of their own choosing and making. We have enormous difficulty in accepting that truth, because we have a vested interest in pointing the finger out and seldom this way. The mind sets up great confusions. And we live under the guise of knowing, but most of it is self-serving. We say things that we cannot do, that we clearly can do, but we won't do. Let me illustrate for you the deception of the human mind. I want you to play a game of imagination with me here for a moment. I want you to picture that I'm standing and I have a huge plank going across this stage. It is this wide and this thick. And I ask you, come and walk with me. I'm going to teach you of your mind. And you have your individual thoughts about what I just said. Just notice there may be as many opinions as to what that means as there are people in this auditorium. And I simply gave one instruction. Come walk with me. And you do. And I say, I'm going to teach you of your mind. And we walk. And we walk. And we walk some more. And then we turn and we walk some more. During this process, your mind is moving rapidly. What does it mean? How stupid, how ridiculous. How can I learn of my mind in this exercise? Stay with me. And we walk. And we walk. Well, there's some obvious things taking place here. You have an okayness about this because, as I told you in the first lecture, there is no threat to survival or security in this exercise. It's on the ground. It's safe. I'm familiar with the parameters of inherent danger. They're minimal. So I participate with a sense of being relaxed, in fact, judgmental as to what it might mean. And I said, I'm going to teach you of your mind. And we walk, and we walk. Some of you will get distracted. And you'll turn around, and you'll start chatting with the person behind you. And you'll start saying, what is this all about? And we continue. And after we do this sufficiently, I send you back to your seats, and I say, wasn't that wonderful? You all clearly could walk the plank. And you would have absolutely no fretting about it. You say, big deal. I say, fine. I'm only going to do one thing. I'm going to put survival and security into your consciousness, and you are going to lie about your power. Plank. 1,000 feet in the air, suspended between two buildings. Come walk with me. And we walk, not many. Not many. And yet, in a different state of consciousness, the exact same challenge was placed, but no threat to survival, no threat to security. And you did it with competence, mentally, emotionally relaxed, psychologically smug. This is easy. Oh, and I say to you, I bring it back down into the room. How cruel of me to challenge you to see the lesson. So I say to you, now class, that wasn't very nice of me. I'm going to give you a reward this time for playing the game. And the plank is right back in the room, right where we started, safely anchored to the floor. And I say to you, now students, this time I want you to follow me, and there is a reward. Oh, isn't this wonderful? I want you to step on the edge of the plank, and we're going to play tippy-toe across. And for each time you make it, I shall give you a $100 bill on the other end. Now the rule is this. Your heels cannot touch the plank behind you, and you cannot step off onto the floor. Line up. And you must not be super aggressive. Just let everybody go at their pace. You'll all get $100 at the other end. Notice your mind, how you feel at that moment. So we start, and we go across, and you're even going to talk to some people over here. How you doing out there? This is fun. This is great stuff. $100 bill, easy. Oh, this is great stuff. Here we go, here we go. Here's your mind. Reward. Send you back to your seats. How do you feel? You've been rewarded for something that was easy. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that the illusion of the mind? Give me something easy and give me a big prize. I say to you this time, it's going to be $500 each time you make it across. And my dear friends, there are no rules. I want you to get in touch with your own consciousness now, right at this moment. There are no rules. What came out of you? Tell yourself. The young began to take advantage of the old. The frail got pushed out of the way. The athletic, I'll win it all. No rules, bump them out of the way, one way or the other, get where you want to go. What happens to our sense of fairness in that scenario? But $500 is certainly a wonderful reward, yes? So I line you up and I guarantee you, as many times as you can do it in 10 minutes, you will get $500 each time. Just get inside of your own thinking apparatus as I tell this story. There's much to be learned. So now we start and we go, and I'm paying the $500, and I send you back to your seats. And you're sitting in your seats, and one is telling the other, I made $3,000, this was terrific. And someone else said, I made $1,000, and somebody said, I only got $500. They had nothing before, but they only got $500 now. They have an issue about that too. And then I say to you, students, that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Now I want to show you something. You see, that plank was never on the floor as you perceived it to be. And I whisk away with my hands the crepe paper that was patterned exactly like the floor and the carpet. And beneath you was a 1,000-foot drop. Oh, you did what moments before you were paralyzed from doing. What stopped you? What stopped you if not your mind? You perceived something that wasn't real. And you acted, however, as though it were real. And you accomplished your mission in spite of the danger. The mind. Look at that guy. You see survival and security tattooed to the top of his head? How many times in your life do you utter the words, I can't, when the truth is you can, but you won't? Every thought leads to somewhere. Thoughts are things. You and I become the dominant thoughts of our mind. If you think you can or if you think you cannot, as Henry Ford said, in both instances, you're right. The mind. I can't do that. Listen to the self-talk. I can't do that. Will you try after that thought? Are you not judge and jury of your own destiny in that moment? The moment you speak a thought, you are creating a destiny. The diet you want to be most concerned with in your life is not the food you're eating, but the thoughts you're thinking. There's the power of your mind. Every great philosophical teacher and spiritual leader that ever graced this planet told it to us, emphatically told it to us. As you think, so shall you become. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it all day long. I'm depressed. Stop thinking depressing thoughts. Too simple, isn't it? Too simple. I want to be happy. Start thinking happy thoughts. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a journey. It's a present, here and now condition of thinking happy thoughts. I wish I had more. I wish I were different. How many of you have said that over and over again? A thought made you less than you are. A thought of myself creates myself. I can do that. A thought. I will do that. A thought. If I act consistent with my thoughts, I can do anything. Sounds too simple, doesn't it? It's like the fellow that said to me one time, he said, well, you know, George, I don't believe in that positive thinking stuff. And I said, and sir, if you'll permit me, it shows. Did you ever notice who doesn't believe in positive thinking? Are they happy, fulfilled, contributing, wealthy? Are they any of those? And if they happen to have a modicum of any of that stuff, it's cursing them. Wake up. Oh, it doesn't matter. Thought, think positive, think negative. Norman Vincent Peale, the founder of positive thinking, came from a massive inferiority complex to that awareness and then preached it to the world. He called it the second greatest discovery in his life, next to his relationship with his Creator, was that he found if a human being thinks in positive terms, they're going to get positive results. If they think in negative terms, they're going to get negative results. Case closed. And yet we'll have the critics of positive thinking. It's unrealistic, they say. No, what's real is what I think into existence. That's what's real for me, what's real for you. The spiral of negative thinking takes one down like a vacuum down into the pits of despair. And then humanity wants to what? Find some agreement. Isn't that what we do? Did you ever notice when you're down what you're up to? Give me some more down around me. Don't dare bring a light into the room and I'm committed to be down, yes? Well, nothing to do with that person. They're not supporting our position of being right, that things are wrong. If you notice how you are when you think negatively, I shouldn't have to say another word about the power of the human mind. You're in a spiral out of the game, yes or no? You start thinking of all the things you can't do, not the things you can do. You start hanging around with those people who are going to agree with you, and then you have a massive energy going down, not up. One shift of your consciousness, and you could say enough of that. Notice who you hang with in life. When you're upbeat, when you're dreaming a dream, when you're living a possibility, who do you hang with? Other people who light your fire. And the minute you switch a thought of unworkability, impossibility, you start to look for support where? You don't want to be around those inspirational people anymore. You need to justify your trip down. So you look for validation by hanging around with people who are going down. Yes or no? We need to break that cycle. We need to be aware of what that does to us. We need to be clear about that. Because if we are not, our life is going to be negative. I love what Dr. William James said, the father of American psychology. The greatest discovery of his lifetime was that a human being could alter the circumstances of their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. Wow. Say that again, doctor. You can alter the circumstances of your life by altering your attitudes of mind. 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 Thoughts. Thoughts. When I wake up in the morning, what are my thoughts? There's two ways you wake up, folks. One is, oh God, it's morning already? And the other is, thank God it's morning. What can I get done today? This is a great day to be here. You need to pick one. You need to get your mind right. See, I'm an ex-Marine. They had to get your mind right to be a good Marine. I believe in getting your mind right. And that's your job. No one else can do it for you. No one can do that job for you. All you need to do is become a keen observer of negative thinkers. And if you want what they want, keep right on going, because you're going to get what they got, and it ain't much. You need to discipline your mind. You need to declare that your mind is going to be filled with things that are positive, not things that are negative. Now, this may not be popular for some people, but I have a formula that'll improve mental health in 30 days, guaranteed, no prescription, no doctors, no nothing. Turn off your television and don't read a newspaper and discover the world will work. It's in your mind. Now, it may not sell newspapers, but you're going to get yourself in touch with the fact that you're being bombarded daily at the unconscious and conscious level with negativity. You're being bombarded with the unworkability of life itself. And it's that way because we're thinking that way. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. You didn't get to vote on whether or not you're going to be programmed in life. The question is, how do you want to be programmed? So I'd rather win than lose. I'd rather hang around with people who are up to something nurturing, not around people who are up to something that is not nurturing. You can find the ebb and flow of every great company, every great athletic team. Every great event is totally tied to the mental attitudes of the participants. And when that breaks down, the power of that entity breaks down. Taking you back to the first talk of collective consciousness. Positive consciousness produces positive results. In Germany, we had a wall come down recently. Do you know why? They didn't shoot it down. The consciousness of the people exploded a new reality. And that's the world we're living in today. The power of the mind is going to be recognized more and more and more. It is tied directly with your physicality, with your well-being physically. We know a lot today about psychosomatic illness, the relationship of anxiety and stress and depression and the body symptoms that show up. There's hardly a disease today that science is not relating some way or another to an emotional counterpart. As you think, so shall you become. The mind. Every thought is doing something. The question is, what is it doing? Is it for the good of our experience or not? Your biochemistry will tell you your thinking has a bearing on your biochemistry, on what flows through your immune system. And do you know that you cannot even identify an event in your life neurologically unless you first process it through the mind? Who gives it meaning? You do, and I do. Well, let's look at the components of the mind. There have been many people study these for years. We're going to kind of take a layman's term, okay, and we're going to talk here for a moment of a condition that exists. It's called cognitive dissonance. Psychologists have been talking about this for years. Essentially, what you have is when you act out of accordance to what you think yourself to be, there is an emotional unsettling that takes place that almost cries out to be reconciled. So it's almost like you have a massive magnet trying to pull you back into your thoughts of yourself and your behavior consistent with yourself. Cognitive dissonance shows up all the time. It's what prevents us many times from opening up to new possibilities, because when we hold for a belief or a truth as to be true in our case, and one that conflicts with it shows up in our reality, we have a great deal of discomfort. We can in fact become unsettled, combative, resistant, uptight, all of these things. But what does it do to us? At the expense of being right and unaware, we struggle to maintain what? The familiar and accepted. Isn't that us? I want to maintain what I'm familiar with and what I accept. So every one of us has to be aware that we have certain blind spots or realities, new realities that we're not going to let in without some struggle. It's called being committed to being right the way you are. And then you're going to have to guard against that, and we all do. Because until we open up, we might be eliminating a bigger or greater truth. And with what I feel I have a sense about truth, I teach people never say you know the truth. Speak rather that you have discovered part of a truth. For the truth is an evolving sense of objective reality. We don't have it all yet. So we're getting glimpses of it. Don't fix yourself. Don't glue yourself to one reality. Allow yourself the possibility to open up to other possibilities. But if you notice the state of mind, you sit in the middle and I sit in the middle. Especially when it comes to self-image and the mind. The thoughts of yourself determine your behavior. You're always trying to act consistent with your core beliefs of yourself. Well, what if you think you're incapable? How do you act? What if your belief system about yourself is, I'm not very good at fill in the blank? And you seek no possibility of changing that consciousness for yourself. How will you behave? How will you participate anytime that you see behavior that forces you to experience the uncomfortable? You'll withdraw. What will your mind do? Watch this mind. It will justify. Will it tell the truth? Very seldom. It will give a very high-sounding, esoteric reason for why you're not doing or participating. All sounds good to soothe the conflict in your ego, and you go about your business as though you told the truth. Remember the plank. We walked it, but your mind said you couldn't, and all we did was change your consciousness of what was here. And our life is filled with those kinds of events. I say I can't when I won't. How many of you can identify in yourselves right now, this moment, that you have said that many, many times? Let me see your hands. We all do it. So the art of using the mind to our benefit is to recognize that we do these types of things.